how the hell am I supposed to review Piranesi without spoiling it? Because that book is one that you need to go into blind, and it is a mind, and it's supposed to be. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you are in the world. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new, please like and subscribe. It would really help the channel. My name is Jessica, and today ThisKiwi is going to be reviewing Piranesi. So first off, I went into this completely blind. Had no clue what this was about. I knew it had something to do with a house and something to do with a character named Piranesi, and that was it. I would encourage you to do the same, because it's written in a way that each revelation is sprinkled throughout the plot, but it's not necessarily clear when you're reading it. So this will be a non-spoiler review, or as much as possible, and I will do a spoiler video next week. So if you want to see that, great, but please read the book first before you read it, because you need to go into this book completely blind. So Piranesi is about a man in a house, and this house is very much like a labyrinth. It's huge, like ridiculously huge, almost like it's an entire world, and it's told purely in diary format, which is really interesting. I haven't read a lot of books that are like that, and it gives you a really unique perspective into who Piranesi is and what his situation is. Some parts of the book are incredibly mundane, as it chronicles the life of Piranesi as he explores all of these halls in the labyrinth. There are detailed descriptions about what this labyrinth looked like, and I loved how much world building occurred in such a short book, and it is a really short book. So straight away there's descriptions all the way down to what his messenger bag looks like, and what statues are running through these halls, and what they look like, and the meaning that these statues hold to Piranesi. Miraculously, there are no repeating rooms, no repeating halls, no repeating statues, and this is all in a house that just goes on and on and on and on, and it just doesn't stop. Right away you get a sense of the vastness of the world just by the descriptions and the numbering system that he has for all of these halls and these vestibules. And for a while people could struggle to kind of suspend their disbelief and let go of reality a little bit, because that's what you need to do in this. Just let go of all logical reasoning, because at the end of the day, this is essentially an entire world that is fitting into a house. You've got the top floor, which is like the sky. You've got the middle floor, which is like the livable area, and then you've got the bottom floor where it's just a sea. There is a sea, an ocean, trapped inside this house. And so this house, this world, it's quite confusing until you start getting a grasp of it. But for Piranesi, this is the only world that he's ever known, that he's aware of, at least. And so from his perspective, it's never been confusing to him. Like, this is his house, this is where he lives, this is his world. He shares it with one other person that he is aware of, and he only sees this other person twice a week for about an hour, and then that's it. He's completely alone. So there is a stark and quite a beautiful contrast, in my opinion, in the way these two characters perceive this house or this world. And so Piranesi absolutely loves this world. He speaks very fondly of this, and of his gratitude to the house for providing him with everything he needs to live and survive in this location, this weird location. So that includes food, it includes materials, it includes water, a place to sleep, birds to keep him company. And so he's explored every inch of the house. He's not afraid of it, and he knows his way around like the back of his hand. Whereas the other person sees the world as dark and horrible and unnerving, and he's got an intense fear of this sea and this water that comes in every so often. And he doesn't know his way through these labyrinthine halls, and you see him in very few places throughout the house, and the reason why becomes clearer and clearer and clearer as you go on. And he doesn't like the loneliness, and he doesn't like the isolation, and is rather quick-tempered. And so you get the feeling that for this other person, it's more like a prison, and he wants to get out of it, rather than Piranesi embracing this world and loving it and saying that this is his home. So Susanna Clarke, in an interview, mentioned a few authors and artists that she drew inspiration from, including Giovanni Batista Piranesi, who did the imaginary prisons etchings. Fascinating artwork. I highly suggest you look them up. Jorge Luis Borges, excuse my pronunciation of that, and Ursula K. Lee Guin. I'll link all those people down below, and I'll also link the interview that I watched with her talking about these inspirations in the description below, so make sure you check them out. But the influence over time from these authors and these artists inspired her to create this isolated place, but in the most whimsical and fantastical way. The writing style is unlike anything I've ever read in a very long time. And I don't think I can give a comparison to another book. I've heard people compare it to Erin Morgenstern and The Night Circus, The Starless Sea. I've also heard it being compared to The 7.5 Deaths of Evelyn Hardcastle, I believe is the name of the book. I haven't read that, so I can't attest to that. I can say, however, I don't feel the writing style is anywhere near Erin Morgenstern's. It is completely unique. It's old worldly. So the language used for the most part throughout this book is rather old fashioned, and yet it's joyful. It's highly descriptive, and yet it's mysterious. It's ponderous, but it's still an enjoyable read. I dreamed of this world. Once I finished the book, I dreamt that I was in a labyrinth myself. And that takes a very special book for it to register in my dreams. And so that was quite a surprise. with this book. I think, and I'll touch on the themes more in the spoiler section, but if it didn't have such heavy themes such as isolation, trauma, loneliness, and other kind of heavy topics, I think it would have been an incredible book to read to children kind of from 8 to 10 and upwards, apart from the major climax of the book. So if it didn't have those themes, it reads like a fantastical children's book from Piranesi's point of view, because he's such a joyous and naive. Is naive the right word? We'll use naive. He's such a trusting, joyous, naive character. And that's something that comes across in a lot of kind of children's chapter books. And so for the ratings, I gave the characters 3.5. I mean, obviously the most well-developed character was Piranesi, because it was all from his perspective, but there were very few other characters. I think there were maybe 4 of note, and that was it. For the world, I gave it a 5. The description of the world was so detailed and so, it was confusing, but you could picture it. I don't know how to describe that very well, but I did give the world a 5. It was gorgeous, and it was so well written for such a short book. For the plot, I gave a 4. Again, I'll go into that more in the spoiler video of this, but it was a good plot. It made me theorize quite early on, and then finding what I was right about and what I wasn't right about. It was a great kind of journey, and the way the plot was revealed very slowly and just in little sprinkles, little bits, it worked quite well for me. I added intrigue as a rating here because from the start, and you'll have to read the book to know what I'm talking about, but like even the way he numbers his diary entries, you're like, what? It is weird, but it's intriguing, and for me, there was just enough sprinkling of plot and things happening to keep me intrigued. It was a bit like dangling a carrot in front of a horse. It was a bit like that for me, and so I was intrigued through the whole story, and then the climax happened, and it was fantastic. And then even after the climax happened, there was still stuff going on that made you really think. Because of that, and because this is a book that you can read a few times and get different things out of it and read them from different perspectives, the rereadability of this book is a 5 without a doubt. And so my overall rating for the book is a 5-star. That is my first 5-star of the year, and I managed to get one in January, and I'm very happy. Very, very happy. I want to give a huge shout out and thank you to Alex and Rosica. I will link their channels down below. They buddy read it with me. and it was a great time. It was a great experience. Um, so huge shout out to Alex and Rosica, and thank you so much for being on this journey with me. So have you read Piranesi? What did you think about it, if you have read it, or are you going to read it? Which I highly recommend you do. Or are there any other books like Piranesi that you could recommend? So I hope you have a great day or a night from wherever you are in the world. And until next time, bye bye.